ED2030. We hear that Mnangagwa's 2030 is gathering momentum. Do you believe it, Ben?
Good day to you. Good day to everybody. Uh, the funny thing about this thing is, to me, it doesn't come as a surprise. ZANU-PF has always had, succession wars within their camp. They have never been able to come up with a succession plan. This is why you find they did what they did to Mugabe. And this is exactly what will happen to this guy. That is the way ZANU runs its camp. That is how ZANU operates, mysterious, mischievous, and so forth. It's no surprise. 1 minute, everybody is saying, stop, stop, stop. The next minute, everybody is saying, there's nothing wrong with it. The next minute, go ahead. This is where we are. Devious characters.
Well, I believe that running this campaign on the basis of Vision 2030 is a lead balloon because it is increasingly clear that the economic recovery that Mnangagwa had been so cocksure about has not taken place. When he took over from Mugabe in 2017, he was so sure he was going to deliver economic prosperity. That's why he started off with his Zimbabwe is open for business and took a plane load full of ZANU-PF officials to Switzerland to sell the idea that Zimbabwe is now open for business. And he was shocked, of course, that nobody bought it. And he came back and started talking of, Zimbabwe, no. That has not taken off either, because so many Zimbabweans with qualifications have left the country. So who is building the country then? So if he was launching this re-election on the basis of something else, that would be different. But launch it on the basis of 2030, that is a lead balloon. That is my position on the issue.
I agree with you. Zimbabwe is open for business. This was the selling point, after the military coup. And unfortunately, it was only Zimbabweans that bought, into this whole, facade. The clever, you know, individuals out there, the international community, they knew what ZANU-PF stands for. I mean, this is why they say a leopard can never just lose his spots. He was there when Mugabe was doing his thing. He was actually, the best friend to Mugabe at some point. And he was the one who ran the shows, behind the scenes. So he knew firsthand how to oppress, how to stop, uh, investment, how this look east policy. He was involved. So the international community, they knew. It was only Zimbabweans that bought into the idea that all of a sudden, that guy that, was evil towards his own people can all of a sudden be the saint. ED2030, like you said, ED2030, Daracha, and all that nonsense. Here we are, like you said. we are worse off than the way you know we were at independence. Now, unfortunately, again, it is a simple-minded Zimbabwe where ED goes around giving people goats, and all of a sudden is the Messiah. The same person that chopped your limbs, and now he's giving you a wheelchair, and you are singing praises to the high heavens. That just shows, the people we are as Zimbabwe.
Well, the reality is really beginning to catch up with him. Yes, we have some people who are singing his praises. We have got some of those supporters singing that he must stay. The truth of the matter is, those people who are singing, most of them know that they have no choice. When it comes to the rural poor particularly, these people have never had any meaningful choice in who rules Zimbabwe. If you do not actively participate, the regime will punish you, particularly the rural areas. These are the people who have been completely and totally impoverished by the regime. And to think that they are the ones who vote for ZANU-PF is naive. And like I said, as we get nearer 2028, it will become increasingly clear that Vision 2030 is nothing but a mirage. That is the truth. I would like to quickly play a video of Margaret Longo speaking to that very point, that ZANU-PF is determined to keep particularly the rural poor and impoverished and powerless. And to be quite honest, that is now spreading to the urban. The urban areas are being turned into rural areas as well, as poverty spreads. But here is a clip of Margaret Longo speaking to that point of why ZANU-PF needs to keep the rural people poor.
They have wrong priorities, especially the current government. How can you go and build an airport which services a few people, and the majority are the elite and the so-called investors? Look at the rural. I made you come to interview me because I wanted you to have the experience of the roads that we are using. If we go today to our hospital there, you feel pity with that's a hospital in a rural area. If we go to our clinic, you feel pity. We have no piped water here. Do you know the reason why the rural people vote for ZANU-PF? One, they're intimidated. Two, the policy is that the rural people should remain poor and subservient to the government. They should remain poor, because if they remain poor, they continue singing the song for their master. This is why these people have been impoverished. It's for a reason. Because the moment, if you economic empower these people, they'll go out of hand. ZANU-PF will never have control over them.
Truth, Ben, isn't it?
Yes, I agree with her. I mean, we can see the way he conducts business. He introduced. I'll give you an example. He introduced the ZIG, and he says it's the strongest in Africa, and this one is going to work. And when people rejected it and saw it for what it was, like its predecessor, he became violent and vindictive. He arrested people. You know, he he forced people to do things that they didn't want. That is who he is. That is what ZANU PF is. They force their way, of doing things if you do not accept. So, we come back to the raw, folk. Here they are, they don't own the land that, their houses are built. And of course, if the landlord says, do this and that, you will do because of fear that lest I get kicked out. This is why ZANU PF has kept them like that. This is why ED has kept them like that. So I 100% agree with her to say ZANU PF way of doing things is to keep us, to squeeze us tight first, to squeeze the life out of us, and have us begging for mercy. And by giving us that little space, we should sing praise and and worship them. It's no longer loving them. It's supposed to be worship them because they own us.
Well, here is Mnangagwa insisting that he won the 2023 elections. And I think if he's the ZANU PF candidate, in fact, it really doesn't matter who is the ZANU PF candidate in 2028. The party will rig those elections too. This is at the heart of our problem. There's nothing to do with him fulfilling this vision 2030, but everything to do with the ability to rig the elections. Sorry about that. We seem to be having some technical problems here. I'll try again. Vakatuka ZANU-PF kana ndonyanyisa kufara kuita zvakanaka ukavona vavengi vakwashi kurumbidza nekuchikanganisa ukavona vachiti ZANU-PF yakaipa farai because you are doing great things for your country. Hongu takaita maelections edu kuna vamwe vaitaura zvisina musoro zvikanzi maelections arafamba zvakanaka ndezvavo. This is a regime that is determined to stay in power no matter what. It's going to rig 2028 elections just as it rigged 2023 elections. The only chance of stopping them is making sure that the opposition does not con their followers so that they participate in these flawed elections in their millions, as they did last year and 2018 and 2013. Because as long as ZANU-PF rigs the elections and the opposition participate in their millions, SADC will find it impossible to deny ZANU-PF political legitimacy. That argument cannot be denied. SADC and the AU condemned last year's elections, but they could not go the extra step and deny ZANU-PF political legitimacy because the opposition participated in those flawed elections. And even when they'd seen the SADC reports condemning those elections, the Fazai Mahere, the Ostalos, the David Coulthard, and all the other Triple C leaders who had won the seats, they took up their seats regardless of what SADC had said. And the fact that there were millions of Zimbabweans who had participated in those flawed elections, that all added up to undermining SADC's position. They could not deny ZANU-PF political legitimacy. So I repeat, we can stop ZANU-PF, this circus of rigged elections, by stopping people participating in these flawed elections. We cannot stop the opposition. Chamisa and his friends would want to participate because all they want is their share of the spoils of power. But what we can do is stop ZANU-PF getting political legitimacy from it by making sure that not Triple C supporters do not participate in their millions. Thank you very much, Ben. Do you want to give your closing remarks?
Thank you. Just to talk about the same subject, there's a movement that is going around which says, no reforms, no elections. And I must say, I agree with that. It is pointless to keep participating in rigged elections. And the evidence is clear. You can never win rigged elections. We have 24 years of scars to show that it is impossible. And to those that sincerely would want to find out more about how to go about stopping the participating in rigged elections, I'm sure we will one day talk more about how to stop this whole movement, this whole participation factor of the opposition and ZANU-PF, just try and iron out and just give the facts of why we are taking this position of no reforms, no elections. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ben. So in this particular case, just to reiterate the point, Mnangagwa, as much as you would want to give the impression that 2030 is a reality, it is a mirage. And the nearer we get to it, the more people realize it is a mirage. And therefore, then ZANU-PF will resort to its usual dirty tricks of rigging the elections, period. It will not be because people believe that Mnangagwa is delivering them from economic poverty. By the late 2027, it will be abundantly clear that the economy is not going to recover. Thank you very much, Ben. And those of you who were able to join us tonight, thank you again for joining us, and hope you'll be able to do it again tomorrow evening, 6 o'clock UK time, 8 o'clock Zimbabwean time. Good night.